we're in the Pace Aero Class A RV. I'm going to go over all of the driver's controls here at the dashboard. So first of all, over here at the left side, we've got a control for the power mirrors, also a switch for heated mirrors. There's a little level right here mounted on the wall, and this allows us to use the hydraulic leveling jacks to level the coach out. So after you've parked the coach, you can turn the ignition key to the on position without starting the engine. Then you can turn the control panel on here at the on-off button. Next, you'll use your rear jacks button to lower the rear jacks to the ground. Then you can level the coach left to right using the left button or the right rear button. So left rear jacks or right rear jacks will allow you to level the coach left side or right side. And once you've leveled it out left to right, you can press the front jacks button, and that will run both front jacks down, and you can raise the front end up to level. And then before driving away, you'll want to make sure that you press the retract all jacks button and retract the jacks fully. You'll want to give them a visual inspection outside to make sure they're fully retracted before driving away to prevent damage to the leveling jacks. Next, we've got an overdrive override switch. So you can use this switch to lock the transmission out of overdrive. It's useful for ascending or descending grades and using the engine for decelerating down steep hills. You've got your headlight switch, and then this is your gauge dimmer for your instrument cluster. Down here we've got a switch, it's low and high for your fans that are mounted up on the upper cabinets on either side of the television. This switch right here is a battery boost switch. It's a momentary switch, so as long as I'm pressing and holding that switch, it's going to tie the engine battery system to the coach battery system. They are separate battery systems, and while I hold this switch, it ties them together like a set of jumper cables in the event that I run one or the other system too low to either start the main engine or the generator. This switch here simply flashes the headlights. We have on the main stock here are turn signals, brights, and wipers, just like a regular car. And then over here on the right side, we've got our dashboard HVAC. This will control the air conditioning or heat at the dashboard and only while the engine is running. Down here we've got a generator start button, so we can press and hold this button in the down or on position until the generator starts. Once the generator starts, you'll see that this on light is backlit and it indicates that the generator is running. That's helpful if you're driving the coach and trying to start the generator. Since you can't hear it while you're driving, you can see that when that light comes on, it's indicating that the generator is running. The generator runs off of the gasoline that's in the main fuel tank and only starts and runs if you have more than a quarter tank remaining. We recommend that you run your generator for at least 2 hours a day if you're dry camping and don't have shore power hookups. This will allow the generator to maintain your batteries by charging them up, and with full batteries, your appliances will operate properly, especially your refrigerator and your furnace. Next, we've got a switch here that allows us to turn the radio on without having the key in the ignition, so we can listen to it without turning the key on. This is an overhead lamps switch for map lights that are above the driver and passenger. And then we've got a low and high for the fan that's over the passenger side. We also have a rear view camera. This camera allows you to see behind the RV when in reverse and also at night. When you shift into reverse, the camera will automatically come on. When you shift back to drive, the camera will go off unless you press the button that's at the top right that says power on or standby. And if it's in the on position, then the camera will be on all the time while you're driving. It's really handy to be able to see behind you while you're driving. The TVs in this RV require that you're either plugged into shore power or running your generator. There's also a DVD player that's mounted in the top right cabinet. Above the passenger seat is a control panel for the power electric shade awning. To extend the awning, turn this power button to the on position. Then you can press extend or retract to deploy or to retract the awning. After you've retracted the awning, make sure that this power switch is in the off position. Do not leave it in the wind smart position. Otherwise, the awning may accidentally deploy while you're driving. Above the passenger seat is a cabinet. If you open the forward cabinet, you'll notice our main control panel. On this panel, we can check our freshwater, gray water, black water, and propane levels. So to check the fresh water, I'm going to press the fresh water button. You can see all the lights come on. Gray water shows empty, black water shows empty, and propane shows full. It's not uncommon for the gray water and black water to show something other than empty, even if you've just emptied the tanks. There are sensors inside the tanks, and if they're wet just after emptying, they may show full. Right here you can see we've got a main battery and an auxiliary battery connection switches. They're both on, as indicated by the red lamps. You want to just leave those on. The only reason to turn those off is for long-term storage. We also have front room and rear room slide out switches to retract or extend the front room, or retract or extend the rear room. In order to do so, you have to have the ignition key in the on position. You can also start the engine, but you have to also make sure that the emergency brake is set. Then you can hold the in or out button to retract or extend the slide outs fully. Next, we've got a water pump switch. We can turn that water pump on. You'll notice that the light indicates that the water pump is activated. That will provide pressurized water at every sink, toilet, and water outlet inside the RV, including the shower. If you're hooked up to a hose, you don't need to have your water pump on. We also have a water heater switch. We can turn the water heater on. You'll see the fault lamp come on. When that goes out, the water heater will light. And it takes about 30 to 40 minutes before you'll have hot water ready. Now we're going to talk about the climate control thermostat here. So we have two systems, a front-mounted air conditioner and furnace, and a rear-mounted air conditioner. To operate the air conditioners, you first have to either be running your generator or have the RV plugged into 30 or 50 amp shore power. So to turn on the front air conditioner, just take this switch, which is currently on off, and slide it down here to low cool, high cool, or auto cool. In the auto cool position, you can set your thermostat and the air conditioner will operate thermostatically. Otherwise, to operate your heater, take this switch, slide it up to heat, and then set your temperature for your heater. The heater will operate off of propane and batteries. If you're dry camping and you don't have a shore power hookup, you want to make sure that your batteries are fully charged before going to bed so you'll have heat all night. If your batteries get low or your propane gets low, the heater will blow cold air until the batteries are completely dead. For the rear air conditioner, just slide this rear switch down to low cool, high cool, or auto cool and set your thermostat. At the end of the kitchen cabinet here, we've got a couple of switches. You can see right now this switch is set to microwave, and so is this one. That way when we're running the generator or plugged into shore power, the microwave will operate. We can also select to run the washer dryer, but we can't run the washer dryer and the microwave at the same time. You'll notice on this switch setup it says microwave or water heater. So this has an electric water heater on board, and if you have this switch set to water heater, then the electric water heater will be operating to heat the water. But again, you can't operate the microwave and water heater at the same time. This microwave is also a convection, so you can bake or microwave in it. The microwave requires either generator or shore power to operate. Also in the kitchen we have Corian countertops. We ask that you please use a cutting board instead of the Corian. If you're going to cut meats or produce. To turn the refrigerator on, you've got a power button right here. It says on or off. The fridge is currently on and the auto mode is selected. It has automatically started itself on gas, so it's running on propane, and that's because we're not hooked up to shore power and we don't have the generator running. But if we do plug the RV into shore power or start the generator, the refrigerator will automatically select the AC power mode. If you see this check lamp come on, it means that the fridge has tried to light on propane but has been unsuccessful. It's either because the batteries are too low or because the propane is low. So in order to reset the refrigerator, you'll have to turn the power switch off, recharge your batteries or refuel your propane, turn the refrigerator back on, and it will relight itself. We've got a temperature selector here and it's set to 5, which is the coldest. And then you can see we have 2 buttons right here that are for preventing frost in humid environments. We normally just leave those off. This fridge also has travel latches on the door handles. So to open the doors, you have to push down on the travel latches and then you can open the door to the freezer and the fridge. These travel latches prevent the doors from opening while you're driving and spilling the contents of the fridge or freezer. To convert the dinette into a bed, you'll first need to remove the table. So you can retract this table leg and then remove the wall side of the table from the bracket that's on the wall. Just set the table aside for now. Next, you'll remove the bottom cushions and back cushions from both sides of the booths. Underneath the bottom cushions are little wood slats. You can just remove those, set them on the floor down here, and then you'll grab your table again. Put that right down here on these cleats where you remove the slats on both sides. And that'll form a bridge where the table will sit. Next, you can take your bottom cushions, put them on top of the table and slide them to the center, and then your back cushions go on either side of that to form the bed area. Now we're going to take a look at the washer-dryer unit. It's made by Splendide. It's a European unit that washes and dries your clothes in one cabinet. To operate this unit, you need to first have a power source, either by running your generator or having the RV plugged into shore power. At the top left, we've got a detergent drawer, and then all of your controls are on the face of the unit. When you're running a cycle, the main door will be locked, and so you will not be able to open the door. In the bathroom, we've got a regular RV step flush toilet. To prevent clogging, you'll want to use either RV or septic safe toilet paper and be conservative with your toilet paper usage. The propane tank is mounted just behind the right front wheel. When you take it in to have it refueled, they will turn off this main valve. You want to make sure that you reopen it so that your propane powered appliances will operate after refueling. There's also a tank mounted gauge. You can see that right now it's showing full. To refill the fresh water tank that's on board the RV, use your key to open this door. Inside the door is a small cap. You can remove the cap, put a fresh water hose inside this hole and turn it on. It's just a gravity fill, so when the tank is full, the fresh water will splash out of the tank, and at that point you know that the tank is full. The tank will be full when you pick up the RV. At the left rear of the RV, I'm going to open up this compartment. It allows us to access our electrical cord. So we can plug this cord into a shore power outlet. This is a 30 amp connector. With the RV plugged into a 30 amp outlet, you can run both air conditioners and other appliances on board. We also include a 20 amp adapter. So this adapter plugs into the 30 amp connector. And it has a 20 amp connector on the other end. This plugs into a regular household outlet or household extension cord. This won't allow us to run any air conditioners, but it will keep the batteries charged and the fridge cold. Inside this compartment, we also have our city water hookup. So you can remove this cover, hook up your hose to this inlet, and there is a freshwater hose on board the RV. When you provide pressurized water to this inlet, it will pressurize all the lines on board the RV, so you have water at every outlet, but it will not refill your fresh water tank. And now we have our wastewater tanks. There's two wastewater tanks. A black water tank, which is for your toilet, and this is the black water valve to release the toilet water. We also have a gray water valve. The gray water is for your soapy sink and shower water. You don't want to pull on the valves to open them until you've hooked up your sewer hose. There's a sewer hose stowed in the compartment right below the valves. And there's a quick disconnect cap right here at the bottom of the pipe below the valves. So to hook up the sewer hose, you want to first remove this cap. You just turn it counterclockwise to remove the cap. And then on the floor, there's a removable panel. You can remove the panel by threading it counterclockwise, and then you can pass the hose through the floor and connect the hose to this pipe in place of the quick disconnect cap. Just turn the hose clockwise to lock the pipe to the hose. After you've hooked up the hose to the dump facility receptacle, you can then open your valves. First, you want to open your black water valve. Just grab the valve and pull it straight out. It will stay out and it will empty the contents of the black water tank. Once those contents have been emptied, you can open your gray water valve. That's your soapy sink and shower water, and you want to do that one second because it rinses out the hose and makes it a whole lot nicer to put away. What you don't want to do if you're parked at an RV park is leave your valves open. If you do, you run the risk of accidentally clogging the system or experiencing sewer odors from the sewer system. So keep your valves closed until you're ready to empty your tanks. In the compartment just behind the left rear wheel is our generator. This is a gasoline generator. It runs off of the gasoline that's in the main fuel tank and only starts and runs if we have more than a quarter tank of fuel remaining. In order to check the oil or reset the circuit breakers, we first have to remove the cover on the generator. Keep in mind, the cover has to be in place when the generator is running because the generator is air-cooled and will overheat without the cover. To remove the cover, just pull out on the top edge and then pull up on the cover and remove it. Here is the oil dipstick, and you can also refill the oil at that point. And then right up here, we've got our two circuit breakers. They're both pointing forward towards the driver, which is the on position. If you overload the system, the circuit breaker will trip. It will switch back towards the rear. The generator will continue to run, but you won't have electricity. So you'll have to reset the breaker manually. You can push it forward, and that will reset the breaker to restore electricity.